One perplexing question we all face, believers and non-believers alike, is why is faith in deities so pervasive? This perplexes the religious because civilizations who have never heard of, for example, Jehovah, usually, if not always, have fully developed faith systems of their own, replete with dogma, mythos, and rituals. For example, the Spanish discovered the Mayas with a fully developed religious system dedicated to several borrowed deities, including Quetzalcoatl. The Spanish then missioned to the Mayas, forcing them to accept their own borrowed deity, Yahweh. Yet, the question which remains is why? If either of the gods was real, would people have need of make-believe substitutes? Why didn't the Spanish find the Mayas with no religion whatsoever if they had never heard the story of Adam's fall from paradise and Noah's flood and Father Abraham and the sanctifying Messiah named Jesus?
The clear implication is that religious belief is an innate need of the human condition. It provides answers, true or not, to several of our questions, such as what happens to us after we die, and where did this world and all living things come from. It also provides authority figures and hope of a loving mother or father figure, when otherwise these may have run out. The human desire for these aspects of religion makes sense to even the most jaded atheists, such as myself. But still, other aspects of religion seem to defy logic. Why do we feel the need to create and perform rituals dedicated to our made-up gods? And clearly, whatever god or gods you may believe in, we can all agree that most of the world's religions are obviously made up. So why do we feel compelled to build these imaginary beings' temples? Why do we sacrifice to them? Why do we create music dedicated to them? These are things which all different religions have in common. Even Buddhists, who do not have specific deities in their religious minds, build altars and create music and perform rituals, and even make sacrifices to the image of their ancestral founders. Clearly, there is something in the human condition which demands this behavior, but what could the evolutionary benefit be? Science fills the gaps for many highly educated people, and they may decide that their religious books offer only metaphorical sense, and that the concepts of afterlife and divinity have to be adjusted to reconcile with clear scientific discovery. Yet many remain in their own ways deeply religious, and they find solace in the songs, buildings, celebrations, and ritual practices of their ancestral faiths. Yet, in many ways, religion is deleterious to our survivability. Resources spent on altars and shrines and tabernacles are basically wasted resources. Sacrifices made to gods represent a net loss to the community that made the sacrifice, and because we become fiercely loyal to our celestial imaginary patrons, faith often leads to bloodshed and the wasting of even more precious resources. So, if we are an evolved species as science says we are, why on earth would we have evolved this compunction to the trappings of religion? What is the Darwinian profit? In his book, The God Delusion, Richard Dawkins posits that perhaps religion was not a direct evolutionary consequence, but rather was a side effect of some other accommodating innovation. Dawkins then speculates that it is a result of our ability to incorporate memes to form schemas. But I think I have a simpler and more likely explanation. Once we had evolved the opposable thumb, we had the ability to make and use tools. Because of this ability, the brain began to utilize the functions which allowed for abstract thinking. This led to the development of the language centers, and languages rooted in symbols and creativity. And it led to dreaming. So here we were, the first and only species making tools and designing concepts in the abstract, our brains awash in symbols and new concepts like math and architecture. Music, in fact art in general, came naturally from this, and villages formed and became civilization. Agriculture and animal husbandry soon gave us leisure time and reason to enjoy our accomplishment. But we recognized our uniqueness, and we still hadn't quite figured out where this ability to think in the abstract had come from. Besides, we still had vestiges to deal with. Not just the appendix and the coccyx, but in-group loyalty and fear of death. These ruled our nightmares, and our nightmares ruled our waking lives. Another vestige, tribalism, drove us as well. So we combined the tribal instinct, the fear of out-group invasion, awareness of the abstract idea of self, and the desire to survive our mortality to invent explanations for the things we couldn't hope to understand. And these inventions were called gods. And we imagined what we would want of our creation if we were these gods. We would want their devotion. We would want them to sacrifice on our behalf so that we could see the physical manifestations of their love for us. Therefore, just as a man buys flowers for his woman, so we build tabernacles to our made-up gods. Just as the mother sacrifices for her children, so we provide sustenance and lodging for our totems and graven images. Just as a paramour composes sonnets to his beloved, so we write chants and hymns and gospel music in honor of our imaginary benefactor in the sky. But rituals. Why rituals? Why do we feel the need to dance around fires, or mumble in unison, or to perform daily ablutions, or to fall into trances wrapped in snakes? Well, for that matter, why do we feel the needs for non-religious rituals? Sports-related rituals, patriotically motivated rituals, cultural and societal and self-imposed rituals are a basic part of who we are. So the real question is not why do we have religious rituals, but why do we feel driven to ritual at all? We build secret societies and public institutions around rituals. We form familial bonds based on rituals. We control others and are in return controlled by rituals. Why? It's probably because we learn by rote. We observe the seasons and the natural ritual of the daily rising of the sun. We need rules, and in the abstract, that is what rituals are, rules. Washing your face before washing your feet makes sense, so we create a ritual, and that becomes the rule. The team we favor wins a game when we are wearing a particular sock, so we ritually wear that sock for every game. And once again, it all falls back to our ability to think in the abstract, which came from our ability to make tools, which came from our opposable thumbs. So the answer to the question of why is religion so pervasive across the human condition, I believe, is because it's a vestigial side effect of our ability to think in the abstract. We had questions, and we invented answers. We assigned these answers motives, and these motives had to be motives which we could relate to,
such as jealousy, rage, hunger, companionship. We anthropomorphized the universe because we could. We had the ability to think in the abstract and to invent symbols. The opposable thumb led to the hammer, led to the building, led to language, led to the invention of gods. Yes, we created gods. The gods did not create us.